Now, one of the most common knocks against startups is that they're entering a crowded market. Something that investors say, that advisors say. The trick we've found is to have a cute logo. No, actually, I had this crazy idea that the travel space online was broken, but it was definitely a crowded market. When I would look at the other sites out there, I would see things like this, which were clearly designed by the database programmers, not by the user experience people. What I wonder is, why is this not checked by default? Why does it even exist? Then I'd go to other sites and I'd see that it was the ad sales guys that were dictating how the page was designed. This red zone on Travelocity is the only part of the page that's actually devoted to search results. Less than 20% of that page. So I thought this was a little bit silly. In fact, I thought it was frustrating, it was annoying. I thought there was a ton of room for improvement. But I knew, because I'd been told so many times, that this was a crowded market. So I called up my friend Steve Huffman, who was one of the founders of Reddit, and I said, Steve, do you think that we could do something in online travel, that we could improve the experience and make people actually enjoy searching for travel? And he said, I don't know, let's ask some people. But when we asked people, they told us that they actually enjoyed the existing ways of doing things, which was weird to us. Because when I looked at these sites, I found it frustrating. When we explained to people that they were spending an hour or two searching these sites, they would realize that it was frustrating. But it wasn't until we could show them something new that they realized that the circumstances could be better, that the experience could be improved, just like that first Mac did. If you told people that you were going to build a new airline in the post-deregulation era that was going to give people a nice experience flying across the country, they would have told you you were insane. If you had told people that you were going to build a website that had a nice experience for selling shoes online, people would tell you that that was a crazy idea, that the best experience for buying shoes had to be to go into a physical store. So the point is, people aren't necessarily the best judges of what the best experience is until you show them something different. All of these examples are in crowded markets. And in crowded markets, I think there are really only two ways that you can differentiate yourself and gain market share. The first, which is the conservative strategy, is to be the one that yells the loudest, to be the guy who's hawking his tomatoes so loudly that you can hear it from across the room. This is what I call the marketing strategy, or the ad spend strategy, and it's what most of the people in online travel have focused on. The alternative strategy is to be that nice vendor in that crowded market, the person who smiles at you when you buy your tomatoes, who encourages you to come back and maybe makes you remember them when you've left. We think that that's the more effective way. And so when we built Hipmunk, we decided to throw out all of the existing ways of doing searches and focus on showing all of the most relevant results on a visualization on a single screen. And when we did the same thing for hotels, we said, where is it that people want to stay in a city? It's probably near where the nightlife is, or near where the restaurants are. And so we placed those hotels on a map that made it easy to see where those things people wanted were. Now, there's some benefits to this besides just, being cool to develop. It's also something that people remember. Even if it's not good user experience, even if it's just different user experience, people will remember it because it's so different from all of the other companies in that crowded market. It's also something that doesn't require a huge amount of expense. We didn't have to spend millions of dollars on advertising, on search engine optimization to get people to take notice. We just focused on what they needed, what we needed, and then they picked up on it themselves. And this is the most important part. When you have an experience that's clearly designed with the user in mind, rather than with the advertiser in mind or the investor in mind, people notice it and they tell their friends. They tell their friends, they draw fan art because they just like the service so much. They tell their reporter friends who then write about it because they're hearing about it from so many people. This all comes about without having to spend a huge amount of time or a huge amount of money on yelling the loudest. So if there's one message that I'd like to leave you with, it's this. If you're a startup going into a crowded market, don't try to yell the loudest. Try to focus on user experience. Thank you.